Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I've done a newsletter. I think it's been about 6 months actually, which honestly is crazy because these last 6 months have flown by. I think last time I did a newsletter, I was telling you all that I was moving into a 6-month period of being a full-time artist, and I'm here to say that it is done. I've done the 6 months, and I'm here to report that it has been very challenging, rewarding, and many big feelings. I'm going to attempt to say it all because I think I'm still processing some of the things that have been happening over these last 6 months, but I wanted to give everybody an update on what's been going on. So, to start, I've been here now for 20 months in Los Angeles, and I first started working at Art Space Warehouse as my full-time position when moving here, but when I got this opportunity to lead music at La Plaza, it gave me a chance to take this leap. So I moved to Highland Park, moved in with Pastor Phil, and I got free rent in exchange for playing music over there. So I officially quit my job around Valentine's Day, and that's when the grand experiment began. I kicked it off by going to Dallas for my best friend Caleb and his wife Amanda's wedding. And as soon as I came back, I actually finished my first commission since being here in Los Angeles. And so it was this big sculpture called Waveform. I finished it and got to install it with my friend Frank over in the Venice Beach area. After I finished that commission, I then went off to Seattle for pretty much the whole month of March, actually. It was really amazing. I got to go there and do a month-long residency at Mini Mart City Park, this gallery up there, who was working with this artist Maya, who they are a dancer, and so they had put on this big dance show, and so they had invited my friend Lucy, Dancing Lucy, to be a part of the show, and she invited me to be a collaborator on her piece. So together, Lucy Baker and I created a piece with my steel rusty sculptures, and she and another dancer were able to dance with them, including like these knit moments with some natural knits, and I also got to help create the costumes. But it was my first time I got to show these rusty steel cradles, these natural cradles, in a gallery setting, and that was really exciting. And of course I love to collaborate, and I also love dance, so it was amazing. And I got to see all my old friends. I mean, it was awesome. And I also got to reconnect with Elle in person, and we got to really consider what it meant to reignite Interloper. And we decided there where we wanted to make this Interloper book, which kind of archives our entire process. And so we've actually been working on it with our friends Razia and Rachel, who are both designers, and working with them on kind of encapsulating our whole 2021 experience of Interloper and how to put that into like a book form. So that's been a really great project we've been able to work on together. When I returned to LA, I actually got to be a part of my first group show in LA at Monte Vista Projects, which is down to the Bendix building down in downtown LA. And after this group show, they actually had a random opening for the next slot. And so they asked people to submit solo show exhibition proposals. And I got selected to do a 2-person show with the amazing artist Wendy Duong, who does these paintings that are about intimacy and tenderness, which was a perfect fit for my work, which is a little more abstract, but still has those same ideas of like gravity, grace, and how we relate to one another in softness, but also in the complexities of our relationships. And so that was really exciting to have 2 shows back to back here in LA. And so after that, I moved from Highland Park to downtown LA because the parsonage I was living at was being renovated, which was a very challenging experience moving, and also the place we moved into, my room had no windows, so it was definitely a transition period being in this downtown apartment. Also, I would say the energy, the vibes, if you will, of downtown LA are pretty low. It's got a weird vibe. So I was grateful to be in that area at 4th and Spring for a few months, but I mean, we had a great rooftop, we had foosball, we had a great workout facility and a pool, but overall it was just kind of a weird space. But anyways, I moved in there. I shipped off to Utah, well actually I guess Wyoming, to go to the Grand Tetons with my mom and my brother to celebrate her 60th birthday. And then we traveled on down to Salt Lake City, or I guess an hour south of Salt Lake City, for my cousin Emily's beautiful wedding to her now husband Cooper. And then when I came back, I had my first concert as a solo artist. As many of you know, I used to play music all the time with my twin brother Kyle, but unfortunately he's in Boston, which is very far away, and so this is my first time really getting to explore what it means to be a solo artist. So actually we did it right in here, right in that corner over there. And Juliana, who's one of my German artist friends, she is a singer, and she had actually come to me saying she was wanting to do a concert, and I was like, yeah, if you need someone to open up for you, I'm happy to do that, and that way we can have a full concert. She's like, let's do it. And so we did. We had this beautiful setup. I'll put some pictures up here while I'm talking about it, but there was like a beautiful triangular light that was going on. We kind of made a little set, and it was my first time getting to share also original songs that I've written now without Kyle. So truly Connor Walden originals, and I'll include some links to those if you want to listen to them. But it was a very special time and a special moment being able to share that. It was also a chance for Emma to see me perform in that way. I mean, she got to see me at my friend Camry's wedding with my brother, but this was her first time getting to see me perform, and that was really exciting for me and her. Basically, the next month was just preparing. I was working on actually this piece and another piece in the studio and working on knitting and solidarity stuff. But then I got to go to France. For 2 weeks, I went to Marseille, the south of France. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. It was just like so beautiful. The French culture is so relaxed. Work is a second to life, which is a much different thing than here. Work is always in service of life here, living, but over there it's like living always comes first. And it was just an incredible place to not just vacation, but also I was there to collaborate as like a DIY residency with my collaborator Elle for Interloper, to think about the book and really consider what we wanted to do with it, which actually ended up thankfully being a very fruitful time. We had a core idea that kind of came out of that moment that we have now been running with Rosie and Rachel. But beyond the work, we were just there to enjoy the calanques and just take the train along the coast. Went up to Roussillon and Aix-en-Provence. I also took a day trip up to Paris. But I was there with her and her daughter Ava, and it was just nice to just be for 2 weeks, just getting to follow our noses, be curious. Something that I am so grateful I did, because as soon as I came back, everything kind of went to hell in a handbasket, as they say. That's not actually, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but the last 2 months have been definitely some of the most challenging months in my life. I definitely reminiscent of grad school and my junior year of high school, and honestly probably like my parents' divorce. It was just the amount of relational conflict I was experiencing and internal conflict and maybe even turmoil on a daily basis was just so much. Don't have to get in the weeds, but essentially there was just some drama regarding my roommate and just how that related to my job at the church, as well as Knitting in Solidarity, which is going to be having an exhibition at the church. And there were just so many layers to our relationship at that point. He was my boss, my friend, my pastor, my colleague, and then and my landlord, all at the same time. And it just made it very difficult for me to be able to talk to him about things, and that was on me, just not being able to be open and try to move through conflict. And so as this exhibition for Knitting in Solidarity started blowing up with drama around politicians and who was being invited and how things were going down, and it was just such a mess. Eventually I just had to move out. And so that's jumping ahead a little bit, but I ended up moving out after the opening reception on August 1st because I just couldn't do it anymore. Just living there was just too much complexity that I couldn't hold on to it anymore. But on the bright side, the blessing ceremony was, albeit not what I wanted, but in the end of the day, it was still a very beautiful ceremony. My brother and Angie got to be there. Emma came with some of her friends, which was like they're all their first times even in like a church, which was very exciting. And I pulled 2.5 all-nighters welding all these structures because I wasn't allowed to use the ceiling or the walls to hang the sculpture. So I had built all these structures to go over these pews. I felt very ingenuity. I felt like an engineer, kind of figuring out how it all worked together. And it was a lot, but also very exciting. And having my friend Carlos, he helped me install the piece originally, and Kyle and Angie helped me fill out the rest of the sculpture once we got the prayer shawls in place. And then we got to have a blessing ceremony, which the next day I felt redeemed when we had the entire congregation put their hands on the shawls and make a chain with their hands to people who couldn't get up and touch the shawl themselves. Because I have really come to love this congregation so much. They're such beautiful people, and I'm becoming friends with some of them too, which is very fun. They actually just took me out, a few of the guys took me out to lunch for a buffet 2 weeks ago now, and it's also fun because a lot of them speak more Spanish than I do English, and I speak more English than I do Spanish, and so it's kind of a fun activity learning how to communicate in that environment. And it involves acting, it involves singing, it involves translating, it involves laughing, lots and lots of laughing, and even some misunderstanding. But I've made some really, really good friends there, and that's been really, really touching to me in this whole process. A shout out to my friend Renee, who plays the piano with me at church now. And when I first started this job, they wanted me to play piano, but I realized quickly that if Renee plays with me, 1, it sounds better. 2, we get to make music together. And 3, he's a better pianist than I am. And then I don't have to learn the piano. And so, so it's been so great having Renee there. And so Renee, if you're watching, thank you so much. It's so great having you in my life. Grateful for you. So basically, July and August, involving everything with Knitting in Solidarity, I was just really tense, and it all finally came to a close on August 27th, where we did a beautiful sending ceremony with, it was a small intimate group, but it was a bunch of older men, and I got to teach them all how to use seam rippers for the first time, and that was really fun for me, getting to teach people how to use a new tool, and also a chance to pray over all these prayer shawls before we put them in the boxes themselves. And being able to put them in there as we prayed, knowing that they're about to be shipped off to their receiving communities. And just again, Knitting in Solidarity, we create community knit pieces of prayer shawls together, we stitch them all together, and then we send those off to mass shooting survivor communities. And so we made 15 of them, displayed them in a spiral shape, and then in a circle shape at Echo Park. And now they are all on their individuals and will be shipped off here in the next few weeks, hopefully. Wow. So that's a lot, but I will say big exciting news and also big emotions around it as I officially moved in with Emma into a new apartment. We have our own space, a 2-bedroom place in Los Feliz, kind of East Hollywood area, and it has been so lovely getting to go to sleep next to her, wake up next to her, talk about meals together, talk about what kind of decor we want to have, getting to put my art in the space, getting to put her art in the space, and kind of dreaming about what we want our space to be. And already we've had several people over in the apartment, and we actually got to she had a friend over early before I had gotten up, and just getting to wake up and hearing her and her friend RJ talking in the other room and me getting to join them and make breakfast together, honestly, is like all I want out of life. It's being able to have a place where I belong and where others can belong, and just being able to fill all of our lives with more connection. I think part of what's been hard about these last 2 months is when you're stuck in conflict and anxiety and everything, you feel alone, and that's almost like the worst part of suffering is when you think that you're alone in it. And sometimes that may be the primary source of the suffering. And I realized, like, in life there's going to be suffering, but at the least we can do it together. At the very least we can be with each other when we're suffering, they're suffering. We can be there to listen, to cook a meal, to take them on a walk, to pray for them, to sing for them. Yeah, it's been a really good time learning these last few months, and I'm very, very grateful for all the friends and family that I have in my life that have made these last 2 months tolerable and even enjoyable at times. And especially I just want to thank Laura Ellen for being in this whole Knitting in Solidarity mess with me, for Kyle and Angie for being present during a lot of the Knitting in Solidarity stuff as well, for Carlos and Frank and my cousin Brianna for helping me do installations these last 6 months, and of course to Emma for all of your support and encouragement and letting me be vulnerable as we move through this. I just love you all so much. And I also just want to say it's been really great having friends in LA that I can ask to help with things and to ask to come over to help us move. I've lived in 6 places since being here, and now I'm on a year-long lease and I don't have to move now. And I'm so excited about that. But in each move, I had friends helping me, and that's what makes life great, getting to do it together. As Sam Ferrazano says from Equinox Studios up in Seattle, he says, we all do better when we all do better. And as Elle, my collaborator from Interloper, says, is what she got from somebody else, is that if you don't do anything alone, you'll never do anything alone. Both very good truisms to live by. So anyways, I'm hoping to be more connected in these next 3 to 6 months before our next newsletter. But I hope wherever you find yourself today, if you listened all the way to the end to here, just want to say that I love you and that you are loved, and I hope that you can connect deeply with someone today. And even if that means you have to be vulnerable, you'll have the courage to do that, to say what's on your heart. So, oh right, upcoming, I have 2 shows coming up. One is in Austin, Texas in November, and the other is in Rhode Island, I think in October, maybe, yeah, October. So, stay tuned, but those will be exciting. Two gallery shows that one I applied to and one I got found for. So there's still art stuff happening in the midst of life. I'm excited. It's all good. But yeah, love y'all, miss y'all, and I'll talk to you soon.